This is the first in a series of videos dealing with website maturity. The entire series deals with all 5 states of website maturity, and this first video outlines all of those 5 states and then comes back to focus on the very first state in more detail, called opacity. Hello Wicked Webbers, welcome to another Wicked Web Wednesdays with me, Chris Davidson, brought to you by Speaker Business Builder. Website maturity, what's that all about? 6 years ago, maybe more, I started taking an interest in the websites of members of the CATS community, consultants, authors, trainers and speakers. I was convinced that I would be able to help them make better use of the web. And what has my research brought about? It's brought about the idea that there are 5 states of website maturity. We're going to go through all of those 5 states in this video and then come back and focus on the first of those in more detail, and then subsequent videos will look at each of those 5 states in more detail. So let's get going. The first of the 5 states of website maturity, opacity. You know you are in opacity when your website isn't getting much traffic. Second state, system engagement. You know that your website is in system engagement when you have a lot of systems, a lot of software surrounding your website seeking to engage visitors who come to the site. That's the idea of system engagement. A little bit different from the next state, which is community engagement. How do you know that somebody is in community engagement? They're in community engagement if they're recognized as being a big contributor to the community they serve. They are in community engagement if people come to them and say, can you help me with this problem? Can you help me with that problem? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Community engagement. Different from market alignment. Notice we've gone engagement, alignment. What's this subtle change all about? You're in a state of market alignment when you have a set of products that you offer to your community that solves a real problem that the community has. Closely aligned products aligned directly to your client's needs, market alignment. But there is one more. Client alignment. What's that all about? You're in client alignment when you rewrite the rule books. If you can introduce a new normal to the entire market you serve, you're in client alignment. It goes beyond just having a good set of products, goes beyond having a good set of services that help your community. It rewrites the rule books, it introduces a new normality to the market. These are the 5 states of website maturity. The way I've laid them out there, you might think that they are on a graph. Well, they are, in fact, so let's put the axes in and see what that tells us. Y-axis, X-axis. The Y-axis measures the depth of engagement that you have with your community. The X-axis measures the quantity of targeted, relevant content that you have out there. And that gives you a pretty good idea of where these 5 states exist on the market, from opacity all the way through to client alignment. In the subsequent videos, we're going to go through each of these in more detail, and what we're going to do with the rest of this video is come back and look at opacity. Welcome back. Let's have a closer look at opacity. I said at the beginning that you knew you were in opacity if your website isn't getting much traffic. That would be true of any new website being launched, of course, but there are websites out there that don't get much traffic, and there are reasons for them not getting much traffic. In all of the research I've done of thousands and thousands of speakers' websites worldwide, there are some issues that keep coming up again and again and again, and I've talked about them in other videos, so I'm not going to bang on about them too much, but I do think it is just helpful to do a little bit about opacity and why opacity is there. This is one of the biggest issues for websites being in opacity. HTTPS. If your website doesn't have HTTPS, if the URL for your website begins HTTP, this is bad news, and you need to get HTTPS in really quick. Google has been encouraging us for years now. Since 2014, they have told us that if you put HTTPS in place, security, then we're going to give you a minor ranking boost, and they said that, you know, they reserve the right to improve that ranking boost in future. So getting HTTPS involved is really, really, really important, and still the latest research from this year's survey shows that 48% of speakers' websites worldwide do not have HTTPS implemented. So I'm sorry to bang on about it, but half of us still have not got this message. Next, mobile. Your website needs to deliver a really good mobile experience. Why? Because of this. Google's mobile first index, which is being rolled out. Now, a bit of news hot off the press for you. Google were expecting to have their mobile first index fully implemented by September of this year, September 2020. They've delayed that to March of next year. So you've got a little bit of breathing space. There are still 25% of the websites out there, of all the websites that I have surveyed, do not have the mobile, do not have a good mobile experience, and so that's going to be dragging them down towards the axes here. Google are very keen on HTTPS. They're very, very keen on mobile. Mobile first index, what's that doing? That says that from the implementation of the mobile first index, then all that Google is going to do in the future is it's going to implement the mobile version. It's going to index, I beg your pardon, it's going to index the mobile version of your website. Well, if you don't have a very good mobile experience, that's not going to be very good for you. You're going to be putting a poor experience into the index, and Google is going to reflect that in its rankings. So mobile experience, really important. There are other videos in this series that deal with it. HTTPS, really important. There are other videos in these series that deal with it, okay? Those are the reasons for you being stuck in opacity. Are there any others? Well, there's a few, really. Let's just put them up there to round things off. We've talked about HTTPS, we've talked about mobile. Load speed is a ranking issue. Google are keen on load speed, so you need to make sure that your site is a light one. It's not too heavy, it loads really quickly, that's important. It's difficult, I think, for us to get a site ranking well if we don't have a lot of content. After all, consultants, authors, trainers, speakers, people who deal in intellectual property, at the end of the day, we're not selling bags of screws, bags of nails and teacups and what have you. We're selling our intellect, and therefore we want that to be big and large on our site. We want our sites to have lots of content, which is, of course, demonstrating depth and demonstrating targeted content to our communities. So we want quite large sites, lots of content in them. What's a good way of getting content? Blogs. So get blogging, people, get blogging. And still, there are many speakers out there that don't do a lot of blogging. So mobile, HTTPS, blogging, load speed, anything else. Pixels and Google Analytics. Now, these are not ranking factors so much as just ways of helping you deal with the traffic that does come, so you can see where that traffic is coming from and you can influence that traffic through social networks in the future. So Facebook Pixel, LinkedIn Pixel, etc. Have a look at those. Google Analytics, get some analytics system in your site and start looking at the traffic that you do get. This is how you get your site out of opacity and up the scale into the next area, which is system engagement, and we're going to have a look at that in the next video.